Support WrestleTalk!
Hello and welcome to Fantasy Booking Warfare here on WrestleTalk. I'm Oli Davis, and we haven't done one of these fantasy booking videos for a while here. Almost a year, in fact, because everyone's so busy these days. Luke's really busy, Laurie's really busy, Chopper Pete's really busy, I'm really busy, but I still managed to fantasy book a whole Rumble match, which is going to be Royal Rumble 2020 for the subject of this video, but I need someone to go up against. That's the whole idea behind the warfare aspect. So I went and got someone who is very well known for fantasy booking. It's a very special guest. It's Adam Blampied.
Hello!
Now, the way this video works is Adam is going to do his whole Royal Rumble 2020 scenario booking first, uninterrupted, and then I'm going to do mine. And there is an eye above our heads right now, and if you click it, you can vote for whose scenario is your favourite. Please wait until you've watched both of them before you cast your vote. Press the thumbs up button and
give them a subscribe.
Yeah. And now I yield the floor to you.
So, some admin before the Rumble actually kicks off. Earlier in the night, The Miz and John Morrison beat The New Day to become SmackDown Tag Team Champions, and Eric Rowan becomes 24/7 champion by hitting R-Truth with his spooky hamster or something. I really hate it. So, starting with number 1, Chunk Lester. He comes down to the ring, he does his clever little dance and wishes he was back at home eating some cow and shooting some cow. Then we have number 2, which is Elias. Because he can really only do his stuff when everyone's waiting for a bit. So he comes down to the ring, singing a little song about all of Brock Lesnar's worst qualities as a human. He could cover the B-52's Rock Lobster and instead call it Brock Lobster. He then hits Brock Lesnar with the guitar, and the guitar just sort of hangs around Brock Lesnar's neck like a Burning Man necklace. He doesn't move, and then he just destroys Elias, and over the top rope he goes. Number 3 is Eric Rowan. He comes down to the ring with the cage and is immediately obliterated because I can't get on board with the I've got a pet but I'll never tell storyline. So he destroys Eric Rowan. Brock F5s him twice. R-Truth comes down to the ring with a microphone and says, "Hey Brock, do you mind if I get in on this?" and pins Eric Rowan in the middle of the ring to become the 24/7 champion. Brock gives him a little smile, a thumbs up, and then destroys R-Truth and throws both men out of the ring. Number 4 is Dolph Ziggler. He scampers down to the ring and pins R-Truth, becomes 24/7 champion. He grabs a title belt and rushes into the ring. He tries to smash Brock Lesnar with it, but he ducks and hits Ziggler with 5, maybe 6 F5s before eliminating Dolph Ziggler. But then Brock Lesnar thinks better of it, goes outside, grabs Ziggler again, brings him back into the ring, and pins him to become the 24/7 champion. He picks up the belt and he just sort of throws it away. Paul Heyman picks it up on the outside and is carrying around now the WWE Championship and the 24/7 Championship. Number 5 is Keith Lee, who is the most gifable wrestler of all time and my favourite person. Him and Brock club 8 bells out of each other. Brock tries this thing where he tries to German suplex Lee. Lee plants himself and then just very slowly turns around in Brock Lesnar's arms and then belly to bellies him. Number 6 is Rey Mysterio. Rey comes down to the ring with his 2 greatest weapons, the very light lead pipe and his giant son. Brock Lesnar grabs Dominic, is gonna get him up for an F5 when Keith Lee pounces all men through the ropes. So Brock Lesnar and Dominic are on the outside, they went through the ropes. Rey Mysterio goes through the ropes, climbs the turnbuckle, then Keith Lee goes through the ropes, stands on the ring apron. Rey Mysterio gets on Keith Lee's shoulders while Dominic is hitting Brock Lesnar with the lead pipe repeatedly, putting him on the announce table. Then Rey Mysterio flies off Keith Lee, through Brock, through the announce table, and then Dominic pins Brock Lesnar to become the 24/7 champion. Next up, it's Otis, the Cake Man. All of the people I'm putting in this Rumble, I looked on Wikipedia and they all officially announced, which means I am contractually obligated to put Heavy Machinery in the thing. Oli quite likes Heavy Machinery, don't you, Oli? Yeah. So Otis comes to the ring, I don't know, he's maybe got a cake with like Royal Rumble written on it. He puts the cake on his head, he slaps his belly, does a face, slaps his belly again, I don't know. And then Keith Lee refuses to dance with him. Instead, he just spirit bombs the hell out of him because Keith Lee is the best. Number 8 is Andrade, who immediately rushes to the ring and he rips Rey Mysterio's mask all the way around his head and punks him over the top rope because Andrade sneak attacking Rey Mysterio is my favourite song. He throws Rey Mysterio right onto Dominic, kind of wiping out the big lad, and then Paul Heyman just sort of sidles over, puts one foot on Dominic's chest and becomes the 24/7 champion. Next up, number 9, it's Old Kane. Thank heavens for Old Kane. Him and Keith Lee get to slapping beef. Keith Lee throws Kane into one corner and he's sort of like resting in the other corner. He's about to launch himself at Kane when suddenly behind him on the ring apron rises Brock Lesnar, who has woken up and he's hungry. So Brock Lesnar starts going mental. He picks up Keith Lee and hurls him into Kane. Then the number 10th entrant comes out. It's Tucker. Piss off. Immediately eliminated. Then Brock Lesnar F5s Andrade out of the ring. He eliminates Kane from the ring. He kicks Otis in the dick forever, then eliminates Otis. And then finally it's him and Keith Lee. Paul Heyman throws the WWE title to Brock Lesnar. He nails Keith Lee in the head with it. Then he rebounds off the ropes, nails him again because Keith Lee is just still staggering. He's near the ropes. And then finally Brock Lesnar gets him a third time with a clothesline over the top rope. So the final image before the number 11th entrant is Brock standing in the middle of the ring holding the WWE Championship. Number 11th entrant is Kofi Kingston. Kofi walks to the ring seeing the championship that he never got a rematch for. He enters the ring, he squares up to Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's just sort of laughing because he sees Kofi as no threat. Kofi slaps him in the face as hard as he can and Brock goes tomato mode. He picks up Kofi Kingston and he throws him over the top rope. Kofi lands on the outside on Paul Heyman and his feet sort of land on Paul Heyman's torso and Paul Heyman's just sort of like face down. He's dead. Kofi Kingston sort of stands, gets to his feet on top of Paul Heyman, sort of rides him like a surfboard and then jumps back onto the ring steps and re-enters the ring just as number 12 arrives. It's Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle and Brock Lesnar just go full MMA on each other. And then Kofi Kingston climbs back into the ring, sneaks in a low blow on Brock Lesnar, and Matt Riddle throws Brock Lesnar out of the Rumble. Brock Lesnar is eliminated. Bro. So in the fallout of Brock being gone, R-Truth comes down to the ring again. He pins Paul Heyman, reclaiming the 24/7 championship and fulfilling the prophecy he made on Raw of beating Paul Heyman at the Royal Rumble. Then the number 13 entrant arrives. It's Nakamura. He immediately Kinshasas R-Truth, pins him, becomes a 24/7 champion, climbs into the ring to start mixing it up with Riddle and with Kingston. At this point, we're going to let the pool fill up a little bit. So number 14 is Aleister Black. He goes on a black mass spree. Him and Riddle comes to blows, which I think would be nice to see. Then Riddle tries to kick Kofi, who ducks. Trouble in Paradises Riddle, and then Aleister Black masses him over the top rope because you don't want him to sort of stick around too long, I think, after he's eliminated Brock Lesnar. Let that be Riddle's thing for the Rumble, and that's the thing that he can talk about after it, and it's like a little locked-in moment. Number 15 is Bobby Lashley. He comes down to the ring and spears everyone. While they're down, he invites Lana into the ring to renew their wedding vows, because I'm pretty sure you can get at least one more wedding out of this angle. Why settle with two? Him and Lana read from cue cards about how much they love each other, and everyone's really going to hate it, and it's going to be great. Then number 16 is Braun. Except it's not. He comes out and then immediately Rusev comes out with like a bit of paper or whatever the weird little kind of plastic cups they did that one year. Anyway, he's got his number and he offers to swap it with Braun. You know, I'm later in the Rumble, but please, man, I really need this. Braun says, okay, fine. Braun, and then like kind of walks to the back. So Rusev barrels down to the ring, immediately starts laying into Lashley. Lana tries to distract Rusev by saying, actually, it's you're the one I love. Happy Rusev Day. And then Lashley goes for the spear. Rusev dodges and Lashley spears Lana. Rusev then grabs Bobby Lashley and throws him over the top rope. Number 17 is Ricochet. Ricochet comes in, does a bit of the old flippity bippity. Him and Kofi get into it. Him and Kofi go over the top rope onto the apron, but Ricochet flips himself around and kicks Kofi off the apron into the waiting arms of Big E, who has appeared at ringside. Big E looks down at Kofi and says, "Not this year. Not this year," and then throws Kofi back into the ring where he catches Ricochet with a tilt-a-whirl DDT. Number 18 is Randy Orton, who hits an RKO first on Ricochet, then on Kofi, then on Aleister Black, then on Nakamura, and then on Rusev. He does the move, and he does the move well. Number 19 is Drew McIntyre. Now, the Scottish Psychopath's face turn is starting to really take off, so I want him to do a bit of a thing in this Rumble. He hits Claymores on everyone, including one final one at the end, a double one on Aleister Black and Ricochet, both of them flip inside out. Number 20 is AJ Styles. AJ Styles enters and then immediately hits an RKO, first on Ricochet, then on Kofi, then on Nakamura, then on Aleister Black, and then on Rusev. The exact same order. Randy sneaks up behind him, tries to hit an RKO of his own, then AJ Styles counters it, tries to go for his own, counter, and then Drew McIntyre hits a double RKO on both men and eliminates both. 21 is Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy's music hits, but he doesn't appear. Aleister Black, sort of hearing his old rival's music, turns to look up the rampway. Instead, Buddy Murphy has run through the crowd and eliminates Aleister Black from behind. Then he hits V-triggers on everyone. It's not, what does he call the V-trigger? What's his word for it?
Just running
Running knee. 22 is Samoa Joe, who goes straight for Buddy Murphy, who will bump like crazy for him. Rusev tries to hit a matchka kick on Drew McIntyre, who dodges and hits him with a Claymore, which sends him out of the ring. I would quite like to see those two fight at Mania. It would have Big Dad energy. Number 23, this time it's Braun. He comes down to the ring, hits everyone. Ricochet springboards off the ropes at Braun, who catches him with one hand and then throws him very far out of the ring. He grabs Nakamura up for the running power slam. Sami Zayn comes down to the ring and says, no, I refuse. You put him down right now. And of course, he power slams him onto Sami Zayn, throws both men out of the ring. R-Truth comes down and pins Nakamura to become 24/7 champion. Number 24 is KO. And this is where sort of the final bit of the Rumble starts, the big storyline that sort of pushes towards the end because he's attacked from behind by Seth Rollins and the AOP. Seth Rollins repeatedly stomps Kevin Owens onto the ramp, and then he sends AOP down to the ring with chairs. First of all, they smash the hell out of R-Truth, who's at ringside. Then they enter the ring, they smash up Samoa Joe, which allows Buddy Murphy to eliminate Joe. Then AOP focus on Braun because they're working under instructions from Seth Rollins, get the biggest threats out of the ring. They pick up Braun, go for a double suplex near the ropes, then Buddy Murphy does a standing drop kick which sends Braun out of the ring and out of the Rumble. AOP then leave the ring, leaving carnage in their wake. The next entrant is Baron Corbin, who walks to the ring very slowly, enjoying himself, pins R-Truth with one finger to become the 24/7 champion, gets in the ring and hits Kofi Kingston with End of Days, and then just sort of like says, who's next? Him and Buddy Murphy come to some sort of heel arrangement, like, we'll take care of these guys. He's just sort of swaggering, wearing his Jon Snow coat and the horrible crown. Number 26 is Kurt Angle. I know he's retired, but he's the best and he retired wrong. He hits Baron Corbin with the Angle Slam and then locks in the ankle lock, and then Baron Corbin taps in the ring, which means that Kurt Angle becomes the 24/7 champion. He eliminates Baron Corbin, who then retreats to the back, and then finally Kurt Angle has received the send-off he deserves. He stands in the ring, Buddy Murphy maybe eats an Angle Slam, and then the next entrant is John Cena. These guys finally come face to face, which is what everyone wanted at WrestleMania. And then John Cena points at the WrestleMania sign and says, "What you got?" And you see Kurt Angle mouth, "Ruthless aggression." He takes John Cena down, starts raining punches down on him. He tries to get him up for an Angle Slam. It's counted into an AA and Kurt Angle is eliminated. He's approached by R-Truth outside the ring. R-Truth hands him the 24/7 championship belt and he holds up Kurt Angle's hand. Kurt Angle will vacate the belt tomorrow night on Raw, but no one pins Kurt Angle ever again. John Cena waits for the next challenger, and it's, well, you think you know him, it's CM Punk. No, it's Edge. In 2010, Edge made a surprise return from injury and eliminated John Cena. 10 years later, Edge makes a surprise return from injury and eliminates John Cena. This is all to set up what I think would be a pretty good match at Mania, which is John Cena versus Edge. You can explain Edge coming back being like, well, I had to retire. I didn't know I was having a final match. I didn't get to go out on my terms. I want one more match, and I wanted to be against my greatest rival, John Cena. So Edge is still in the ring, he's spearing everyone. 1 spear, 2 spears, 3 spears, and then like summoning Beetlejuice, out comes Roman Reigns. So Roman Reigns is number 29. Him and Edge hit dueling spears on Cena and Drew McIntyre. Cena is eliminated by Edge, who turns around into a spear from Roman Reigns, who then turns around into a Trouble in Paradise from Kofi Kingston, who then turns around into a knee from Buddy Murphy, who then turns around into a Claymore kick from Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre eliminates Buddy Murphy. Number 30 is Seth Rollins. And he's brought his sexy goons with him. Him and AOP come down to the ring and start wrecking shop. First they beat up Big E at ringside, then they enter the ring, they dogpile on Drew. AOP hold Drew's head near the mat, and Seth Rollins stomps him, then eliminates Drew. Seth turns around and offers a Shield fist bump to Roman Reigns, who then, it looks like he's gonna do it, but actually, oh no, it's this thing, and then he Superman punches him in the face. Then Rollins and AOP are big dogpiling on Roman Reigns when Kevin Owens' music hits and he comes down to the ring. Like, no one sells I am not in a good way health-wise, but I'm gonna do this anyway, like Kevin Owens. He's got a kendo stick with him and he just sort of limps to the ring. AOP are sent out of the ring by Seth Rollins, and then KO breaks the kendo stick on the AOP, sends them to the back before trying to climb into the ring, where he eats one more stomp from Seth Rollins, who then throws him over the top rope. He turns around into a spear from Roman Reigns, who then from behind is immediately eliminated by Kofi Kingston. There are 2 men left in the 2020 Royal Rumble, Kofi Kingston and Seth Rollins. Bit of a tense back and forth. Seth Rollins dodges a Trouble in Paradise, throws Kofi Kingston over the top rope onto the ring apron. He hits Kofi with a super kick, who falls back out of the ring onto the floor, but with 1 foot still hovering off the ground. And he's there in no man's land, and he doesn't know how he's going to get back into the ring. He has 1 foot still in the air when Xavier Woods comes from the back. He's on crutches because he's got to sell the injury. He comes down and he lifts up Kofi Kingston. Big E is also there. He limps over. They've had a hellish tag team match earlier in the night. He picks up Kofi Kingston, and together, the New Day walk each other back to the ring. They place Kofi on the ring steps, and he looks back at his brothers. All of them hurt, but all of them still here. Kofi flies back into the ring and he lays out Seth Rollins. There's more tense back and forth before Rollins takes control with a low blow. Kofi is on the ground. He's gasping. He's almost done. He spent maybe 40 minutes in this Rumble. He's on his hands and knees next to the ropes. Rollins rebounds off the ropes. He does a bit of showboating before. Of course he does. Ha ha ha. He rebounds off the ropes, goes for one last stomp, the biggest stomp ever. He launches himself into the air. Kofi rises from underneath, catches him in midair and throws him out over the top rope. Kofi Kingston wins the 2020 Men's Royal Rumble. This is, I honestly think, the only year that Kofi Kingston can win this thing and finally capitalize on the legacy of amazing things that he has done in the Royal Rumble match. He gets 3 escapes and he wins the whole thing to go on to WrestleMania to fight against Brock for the WWE Championship that Fox made him lose. And that is how I booked the 2020 Men's Royal Rumble. And now I pass over to the one, the only, Oli Davis.
My Royal Rumble booking is going to be a bit more fantastical because I didn't know we were sticking to all the people who have been actually announced. So there's a lot of insanity here, but no CM Punk. That was my benchmark for going too far. So hopefully it's not too fantasy for this fantasy booking. But I have taken one bit as gospel, and that is number 1, it's Brock Lesnar. he comes down, Paul Heyman comes down with him, and Paul Heyman effectively cuts a promo in the ring to start off the whole Rumble match, saying, no one can beat Brock, he's beaten everyone on Raw, he beat Kofi on SmackDown for the championship, and now he's going to beat everyone here. 29 guys, outlast them all, and he is the Beast. He's going to victimize everyone in WWE. But maybe the main roster isn't the answer, because at number 2, it's Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle comes down and Brock and Paul Heyman sell this like maybe this is the one guy who can beat Brock. And the commentators are putting it over like this guy was too bad for UFC. Now he's coming in to kick Brock Lesnar's ass, and Riddle gets in the ring. He has a stare down with Brock Lesnar. He kicks off the flip-flops and they have a stare down, and then they start going at it MMA style, which is some knees, some elbows. Grrr. But then what could top that? We've got number 3. The buzzer hits. Dun dun. Da da dun dun. Da da dun. It's Goldberg's music, and Paul Heyman and Brock are like, oh my god, this was a bad idea that we came in first. And Matt Riddle's kind of laughing because he wants to face Goldberg and he knows about the Lesnar history, all the pyro, the sort of pyro walls going, and who walks through? It's Goldberg. Goldberg walks down to the ring, he gets in there, he does that sort of Goldberg pose at them both, and they throw him right out the other side. Goldberg's retiring in February, so I thought this would be quite a nice send-off for the guy. Next up, we really established the opening part of the match, which is the Ghosts of Christmas Brock, and that is multiple people that Brock has in his recent history to go up against him as a sort of Herculean test. And at number 4 is AJ Styles. And the commentators are starting to put over how it feels like Brock has history with everyone he's going up against. Of course, there was that great Survivor Series 2017 match he had with AJ. AJ gets in there and starts interacting with Brock and Riddle. And that's not the only ghost from Brock Lesnar's past, because in at number 5 is the man Lesnar beat for the title. It's Kofi Kingston. Kingston walks down the ramp with Big E and Xavier Woods by his side. They're both amping him up, saying, get in there, show him who's the big guy to beat him. And Kofi gets in, goes straight for Brock Lesnar and starts scuffling it up. And then AJ and Riddle all brawl together. Number 6 hits, it's Samoa Joe. The man who faced Brock at Great Balls of Fire. That's a surprisingly good show. All the way back in 2017. I thought it was 2018 when I was doing my research. And he comes in and he stares down with Brock and they start getting into it. Crucially, AJ and Joe are kept apart here. And then it's 24, number 7. It's Mojo Jojo Rawley. The current 24/7 champion. He comes down to the ring, he looks at the people in there, and he's confident. He thinks this is his time. He gets in there, he's looking at who to go for first, and then Greg Hamilton says on the ring announcing, ladies and gentlemen, there is a special announcement. For the first time in the Royal Rumble match, the 24/7 championship will be defended. And Mojo looks at him like, you what, mate? And he looks at everyone else who's now staring back at him. He's got the 24/7 title, so he just clocks everyone over their head with it, and he actually stands up tall. Until number 8 happens, it's Kevin Owens. He walks in, he looks at Mojo, stunners him, pins Mojo for the 24/7 title, then starts working with Joe to take out everyone else. And Rawley's eliminated by Kevin Owens. At number 9 is Drew McIntyre. The next couple of spots is going to be person gets in the ring, wins the 24/7 title immediately. That's what he does to Kevin Owens. He hits him with a claymore, wins the belt. To carry on with that sort of babyface character, he celebrates like it's the best thing that's ever happened to him as a joke. And then he claymores AJ, he claymores Riddle, he claymores Joe, turns around, oh yeah, Brock's here, F5 on Drew. Number 10, John Morrison's music hits. And rather than coming down the ramp, Morrison and Miz come through the crowd and ambush Xavier and Big E with chairs. They leave them lane and they get in the ring and target Kofi. Skull-crushing finale from Miz on Kofi. Miz isn't part of the match, he's just helping out Morrison. Morrison, at this point, is getting to the top to hit Starship Pain on Kofi, but he sees Drew laying down because of the F5. Hits the Starship Pain for once on him. He's the new 24/7 champion. Number 11 is Buddy Murphy. he, rather than going for the 24/7 title right away, has a stare down with Brock Lesnar. They're going face to face, but the size difference is quite something, and Buddy looks like he's gonna start getting into it with Brock, but then he just goes after Morrison and wins the 24/7 title as well. Off the back of that, Riddle and Murphy start having a fight and going back and forth, but the commentators are putting over how Buddy feels a bit unguided without Seth by his side to mentor him, and because of a little mistake, Riddle manages to get the better of Murphy and leave him laying with a bro to sleep. Now we've got the OC time, because at number 12, Carl Anderson comes in, and with AJ's help, he becomes the new 24/7 champion as well. And at number 13, it's Luke Gallows. It's all the Good Brothers, and the OC just start clearing house, not eliminating anyone, but sort of leaving them laying with magic killers and styles clashes. And jokingly, Gallows goes to Carl Anderson, well, you know, it'd be nice if I could win the 24/7 championship now. And Carl Anderson's like, but I'm the 24/7 champion. And they do, in a very sort of meta way, the finger poke of doom spot, so Luke Gallows can become the new champion as well. But at number 14, it's our first nostalgia entrant. He's not gonna have fun with this. He's far too serious. It's Lance Storm. So Storm comes into the ring. Of course, the OC are all there ready for him, but he takes out AJ, he takes out Anderson, and using his technical wizardry, he rolls up Gallows to become the new 24/7 champion. We've had 7 consecutive title changes by this point. All the people I'm not really covering just assume they're in the corner, just doing something. So we've had these 7 consecutive title changes, and at number 15, it's Baron Corbin. King Corbin. He comes in, he goes face to face with Lance, he teases that he's going to win the belt, but he doesn't. He just end of days Storm, chucks Storm out over the top rope so he's eliminated, looks at the 24/7 title and just chucks that out as well. Boo. He didn't do the thing that everybody else did. At this point, because there's other stuff going on other than the 24/7 title shenanigans, Lesnar picks up Kofi and F5s him and throws him out over the top rope, but Kofi clings onto the barricade opposite the hard cam. Matt Riddle, seeing that in a sort of game of one-upmanship with Lesnar, because they've been in there since the very start, sees John Morrison, bro to sleeps him or something, gives him a knee, and throws him over the other side towards the hard cam, and Morrison does the same thing. He grabs onto the barricade, and now Morrison sees Kofi, they're both clinging there for dear life, looking over each other's shoulders, and they get up onto the barricades. Neither of them have been eliminated yet. Number 16 is Shinsuke Nakamura's music. He comes down with Sami Zayn, but I am an El Generico Kevin Steen mark, I always will be. El Generico, of course, has no connection to Sami Zayn, I don't know why I said that, but Sami Zayn stops Nakamura and says, I want to go in there. And Zayn walks up the steps and he gets in there and he has a stare down with Kevin Owens and they just start hockey fighting like the good old days. And people will try and get involved, they'll fight them off and then go straight back to the hockey fight. While this is happening, Morrison and Kofi, who are still on the barricade, have gotten up, sort of tightrope walking the barricades. They run round the ring to where the announcer's desk for SmackDown is, and they both end up on the desk at the same time. They're facing each other. They look towards the ring apron. They're like, whoa, I think I can make this jump. And they both jump to get back onto the ring apron, but Kofi kicks Morrison out of midair. I don't know if this is physically possible, eliminating Morrison, and Kofi lands on the apron.
I mean, it's not.
No.
Kingston's done yet another heroic escape. He's on the apron, but Baron Corbin's coming towards him. Kofi ducks the top rope, eliminates Corbin. He spills to the outside, probably setting up a SmackDown program between the two, and Kofi's still there, and he's in play. Number 17. It's the former WCW World Champion, David Arquette, who's made a return to wrestling over the last couple of years. He comes down, probably nobody will know who he is. There'll be a small contingent of the crowd, the travelling crowd, going, way, and he's about to get in, but he sees Lance Storm, who's still the 24/7 champion by this point, hobbling off, looks at him, I'm having a bit of that action. And he becomes the new 24/7 champion with a roller, and he gets in the ring really happy, he just clocks everyone with the belt and celebrates with the championship, holding it upside down. At number 18, it's Kane. He comes down and he has a stare down with Arquette, and he just straight up eliminates him right away. But Kane isn't done there. He's a monster. He's sadistic. He slides under the bottom rope, gets Arquette, and chokeslams him through the announcer's desk outside. Meanwhile, the OC are really starting to work together in the ring. They hit a Magic Killer on Riddle, there's a Styles Clash on Lesnar, and they eliminate Sami Zayn, because at number 19 comes Finn Balor. He walks down the ramp, he gets in the ring, the OC are all standing there, and him and AJ have a really intense face-off. They get right on each other's foreheads, they're yelling at each other, and then AJ just goes back with the too sweet signal, and Finn Balor too sweets him. He too sweets Gallows. He too sweets Anderson. It's a Bullet Club reunion. They throw out Drew, which I think could be quite a good program for Drew on Raw with the OC going forward. And then after being kept apart this whole time, AJ and Joe catch each other's eyes from across the ring. And then they just start going at it, capturing that old TNA magic. At number 20, it's R-Truth. And when he comes down, Brock Lesnar's actually in a bit of a bad way. He's been in there since number 1. And Truth almost eliminates Lesnar. He's got him over the top rope. He's trying to put him all the way over. But Matt Riddle sees this and stops it from happening. He takes Truth and chucks him over the top rope. And then there's this moment of begrudging respect between Brock and Matt. Like, no, you're mine. No one else gets to eliminate you. Truth on the outside sees Heyman and then tries to eliminate him, despite Heyman neither being in the match nor in the actual ring. But in the ring, while this is going on, Joe and Kevin Owens are still working quite well together, and Joe eliminates Anderson and Kevin Owens eliminates Gallows. Now, if you thought anything was a bit over the top so far, this is the bit. At number 21, Braun Strowman comes down. He gets in the ring, Kane's there, they have a face-off, and then the lights cut out. The lights come back up, and behind Strowman, slightly to the left, is the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Strowman doesn't know he's there though. He sort of catches him out the corner of his eye and steps back, kind of scared, and the Fiend just pounces on Kane. Mandible claws him to the ground, and Braun Strowman just kind of looks at him like, I don't know what to do. You're beating up Kane, but I'm also kind of creeped out by you. Fiend then lifts up an unconscious Kane, hits the Sister Abigail, and then says to Strowman, eliminate him. And Strowman just picks up Kane and is like, okay, kind of transfixed, eliminates Kane, and then Strowman looks at the Fiend, and the lights cut off once again. But it's a few beats longer, and then you hear the dong noise, and the lights come back up, and now The Undertaker's in the ring as well. Taker grabs Fiend by the neck and starts to choke him, but Strowman actually saves Fiend from The Undertaker. While he's doing that and sort of pushing Undertaker away, Kane rises from the ropes from the dead and pulls Strowman over the top rope, eliminating Strowman. And then the Fiend and Undertaker just stare at each other, lights cut out, and both of them are gone when the lights come back up again. This can set up a few directions. I'm thinking Kane versus Fiend at Super Showdown in Saudi Arabia, but ultimately Fiend versus Undertaker for the title at WrestleMania, which the Fiend can just win in seconds. Number 22, it's Adam Cole, baby. He runs in and he sees AJ Styles and he does a cheap shot from behind. And AJ just turns and looks at him. It's like, what the hell, mate? And Adam Cole goes, too sweet? Finn Balor walks over, looks at the too sweet sign, and just does the gunshot to it. At this point, the OC start beating up Adam Cole, and who's that through the crowd? I really feel like I've overbooked this now. The Undisputed Era run in, and there's a big OC Bullet Club versus Undisputed Era war. Number 23 is Keith Lee. And when he gets in the ring, he goes exclusively for Adam Cole, because I really want to see that program in NXT in the future. And riffing off that excellent spot from TV last year, he pounces Adam Cole over the top rope into the OC Bullet Club Undisputed Era brawl on the outside for that elimination. No Way Jose, I guess he's my version of Otis. He comes partying down with the conga line. He gets in the ring, tries to get Keith Lee to dance. Keith Lee's like, nah, mate. Spirit bomb over the top rope. You're immediately eliminated on all of the conga line outside. And then Keith Lee walks back, and Samoa Joe's walking back from another brawl at the same time, and they bump backs. And they do the slow turn round to each other. And then we've got a Samoa Joe versus Keith Lee stare down. But who's coming in next? It's number 25, Drake Maverick. Tentatively walks around this Joe Lee face-off, but he forgot about Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar rises above him and he hits the F5 on Drake Maverick and throws Maverick over the top rope. But he lands on David Arquette, who's only just recovered from being chokeslammed through the table earlier, and both guys are knocked out. But Drake is positioned on top of Arquette. The referee runs in. 1, 2, 3. They wake Drake from being unconscious, and he's like, I'm the champion. The referee, it says, you did it. You're the 24/7 champion, Drake. And Drake just celebrates all the way up the ramp. Now we're in the final section, and I've entitled it Seth versus Everyone, because at number 26, it's Seth Rollins. He comes down with AOP, his sexy nephews, whatever Blampied called them, and he gets in the ring, and Buddy Murphy, who's been pretty ineffective this entire time, now his entire posture's changed. He sides up with his mentor, the Monday Night Messiah faction, and they're all a really scary unit together. And Seth gets a microphone and starts offering individual people who are still in the ring to join him. Of course, everyone says no, and they start a massive brawl between Rollins' faction and everyone else, and then out comes, at number 27, the luckiest spot in the Rumble, Roman Reigns. Reigns comes in, Superman punch for you, Superman punch for you, Superman punch for you, but then he gets to Rollins, Superman punch, you're my brother, I haven't seen you since you turned heel, and Seth is like, hey, we could work together. Me on Raw, you on SmackDown. I've got a good thing going on right now. But Roman's looking at them pretty skeptical, like, but I'm a babyface. And Buddy Murphy then takes out Roman with a knee, the knee, whatever it's called. And Seth Rollins is like, I gave you a chance, mate, but did he ever really? Was he just stalling for time so Murphy could get into position? But playing off that Survivor Series finish with Rollins, Keith Lee and Roman Reigns, it's Keith Lee who jumps to Roman Reigns' defense and eliminates Buddy Murphy. And then we finally get the Samoa Joe, Keith Lee brawl that was teased earlier. At number 28 is Austin Aries. A guy who hasn't been seen in WWE for 3 years. Everyone stop laughing at this pick. I can do what I want, it's fantasy booking. The idea is, because he was unhappy being on the main roster, he goes to NXT after this. So he goes directly for Riddle, setting up a program between them two. Aries is almost going to eliminate Riddle, but Lesnar sees this happening, F5's Aries, to save Riddle from being eliminated in a play off of what happened earlier. Now Brock has repaid the debt. Matt, kind of annoyed at that, picks up Austin Aries and gives him a jackhammer. Ooh, foreshadowing. This bit's too complicated, so I'm just going to read it off of my screen right here. At number 29, it's AOP's Akam. He comes down to the ring, and Rollins now has a man advantage again after losing Murphy from before. The two run wild until they get to Lesnar, and an uneasy truce is made between the men, and they all team up to eliminate Reigns. But then Brock turns on them and suplexes Akam and F5 Seth. He's not really working with them. He's somehow still on top after all this time. Heyman was right, the commentators are saying. Who can possibly stop Lesnar? He's run through everyone. He's still in there. He still looks fresh. And then the countdown goes for number 30. It's Goldberg's music, and this time it's really him. We get the full entrance from the backstage. He's headbutted a locker. He's probably slightly concussed already. He walks down to the ring, and him and Brock Lesnar have a stare-off. Heyman's freaking out at ringside. Lesnar's kind of scared. And in that visual, when they're both looking into each other's eyes, Matt Riddle stands up between them, and they all have a three-way stare-off, and they just go in MMA crazy now. So now the only people left in the ring are Riddle, Brock, Goldberg, they're going at it, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe versus Seth and Akam, they're all going at it, and Lee versus Aries. So Goldberg hits a bunch of spears, but Riddle counters the one on him with a knee, which propels Goldberg into an F5 from Lesnar, and Brock throws Goldberg over the top rope, eliminating him. Brock's sort of over the top rope, smiling at his former foe. Ha ha ha, I got that one. Turns round, straight into a knee or something from Matt Riddle, and Matt Riddle tips him over the top rope too. Lesnar's been eliminated. Heyman is furious. Brock's furious. Riddle's smiling, but he's absolutely exhausted too. He's been in there just as long as Lesnar. He was out at number 2. And Austin Aries sees this and pounces on him. Tries to eliminate Riddle, but Keith Lee sees that and eliminates Aries, kind of protecting his ally. But Riddle's still absolutely exhausted. There's nothing left in him. He's kind of struggling to his feet. Seth sees that, curb stomp, and then Akam eliminates Matt Riddle. He's out now. So now it's Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and Keith Lee on the babyface side, and it's Akam and Seth Rollins on the heel side of things. And Seth, because he's confident in his abilities, just stands there in that Messiah cross pose, staring down the three babyfaces, and it just starts a hockey fight, and they're all brawling as this last 5 bit. And Lee and Akam are by the ropes, and they both tip each other over, and at the same time, Kevin Owens and Joe throw Seth Rollins over the top rope. And all of a sudden, from what was quite a packed ring, we're now left with Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens both in the corners of the ring, staring across from each other to enter the final 2. They both stand up and sort of have that nodding respect of, let's just do this, we're friends, but now we're opponents. And they go at it, and after a few minutes of back and forth, and a few very close elimination bits, Kevin Owens hits a stunner on Joe, but Joe stays standing, hits another stunner on Joe. He's still standing, but he's been knocked a bit further back towards the ropes. One last stunner sends Joe on the ropes, and Kevin Owens follows up with a clothesline to send him eliminated out. Kevin Owens is my winner of the Men's Royal Rumble 2020 match, and off the back of that, to do a little bit of addendum booking, Brock Lesnar will drop the title to Seth Rollins in the Elimination Chamber, setting up Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens for the WWE title at WrestleMania, and Brock Lesnar will face Matt Riddle there as well. And of course, you've got the Fiend versus Undertaker, which everyone seemed to be such a big fan of. Wow, that was... It sounded so good in my head, and then when I said it all out loud,
It's a lot.
it was a lot.
A lot of old men, isn't it?
So what was your favourite part of mine?
yours?
If you could just pick one.
Oh, I really liked the fact that heavy machinery went in it.
Yeah, that's good. I really liked the angle bit in yours.
Oh, thanks,
I'm being
mate.
sincere, because I think he was very hard done by.
He was. He was.
So there's an eye above our heads.
Yes.
I imagine most of you have voted already, but please click that. You'll have the option to vote for whether you preferred mine or Adam's booking more, and we'll total up the results and we'll announce it before this Sunday's Royal Rumble. But in the meantime, please press the thumbs up button, share this video around, give us a subscribe, click the videos that have appeared somewhere on the screen to watch some more awesome WrestleTalk things. I've been Oli Davis, this has been Adam Blampied, and that was... You know, it was a thing.
It really was.
It just was.
Fiend versus The Undertaker is going to be really...
Up about